the creature that for you is like the Mona Lisa, the thing you always inspire? What is that?
Actually, Syfy created Godzilla in 1954, and that was the iconic creature for me. My mother loved monster movies. I hated babysitters, so she was taking me to movies when I was 1 year old. And I saw Mothra and Gorgo, but when I saw Godzilla was the thing in like '65, and I was Godzilla fighting a giant Mothra. It was like from that moment on, I knew I wanted to be Godzilla. And I finally got to be Godzilla because I did Pee-wee's Big Adventure and I played Godzilla in that. So that's me. That's awesome.
And Constance, what are you aspiring for? What's your ultimate creature?
Honestly, I've already done like a lot of dream jobs, as it were, like gigs and stuff.
But very fortunate.
Yeah. Whereas like what I'm inspired by those kind of creatures, classic Universal monsters. I love Creature from the Black Lagoon, Bride of Frankenstein, and I mean that's kind of what I'm into, yeah.
The old school monsters, because that's monsters from the '70s on when it turned into slasher films. It's not the same.
Not a big deal.
Well, except for, the pinnacle of makeup effects, I think, was 1982's The Thing, John Carpenter's Thing. That's never been surpassed, and there's not one digital or optical effect in those creatures.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Over here. Our audience is really excited for this show, and we've kind of been following through the Hollow Point episode that you just did a couple of weeks ago. But I just wondered if you could talk about what's the premise going to be? Are you going to do kind of like one movie or like one effect per episode, or how does it work out?
Well, the structure right now that I believe the show's going to follow is that we have one A build, we call it, one main creature that we're working on, and then there's usually a B build, which is another project that we're doing at the same time. And that's like, the only thing that lacks realism there is the fact that there's usually 3 projects going on at once. But yes, us losing our minds and ripping our hair off trying to get everything done by their deadlines. But there's a show focused on one main creature and then a secondary project going on at the same time.
I mean, the way we work, there's literally someone in our shop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never close.
We never go home.
There's no way we would ever get the things done in the time schedules that we get.
Okay.
And I would take the cat food at home so that they can feed themselves.
I will say that it's been very interesting shooting the show. At least from what I've heard is it like standing on set with you guys. But there so much happens in your head that getting it out on paper to see your process has been, I know, a very interesting experience.
It's really different for me because I have very much help that I do build things in my head. I'll stare at film for 2 hours and build it in my head. And working on a reality show, that doesn't make good television. They want me to explain what I'm doing, so I'm like, the first 3 days I locked myself in a room. But then I finally came out and was like, okay, I can do this. And it was awesome.
Is that, Constance, is that like what you're filming for you? Like finally he gets to have to put it on paper?
Well, he doesn't even actually put things on paper as much as I do. Like you just kind of like, he'll tell you what to do, like, oh, make this, make that, and you're like, where is this going? Until the last moment it all comes together. I like to draw things and try to like plan it out and have, schematics, whatever. I just like to plan it and have it there. So
the reason for this being also, sometimes I don't have a finished thing in my head. I have a general idea in my head what I want, but I create as I go. And then it's not until like the last 48 hours that it's like, okay, bam, it's just suddenly hits me. This is where I want. This is what I'm doing.
That's not great to have the truth.
Yeah, that's what I am.
He's falling across the floor, clutching his chest.
It's like, hey, Cleve, Tony Randall wants to come over to see his creature. And
I'm like, fine.
It's a pile of foam sitting on the table.
But he was like, he was also seeing something in his head that he couldn't describe or draw.
Yeah.
And he looked at my big pile of stuff and saw it. It was awesome.
But the other thing too is that's what's magical about it, is that you'll see it go from a pile of foam on the table to a creature that's in a movie, and that's
sometimes in the last 24 hours.
But for all of us that have been doing, Cleve's been doing it for 30 years, I've been doing it for almost 30 years, and to this day, that's still magical for me to see this pile of stuff turn into a monster. It's pretty great.
Because I will canoodle something till the last minute, and that last 24 hours, Constance and I are like this machine, forward, and it goes, and it always, we always make our deadline. We always have it there. Sometimes an hour late, but it's always there to shoot.
Thanks to Roy for being so, so understanding and trusting.
He doesn't even want to hear the
tomorrow
truth.
is it going to be done? Because there's nothing. You're like, oh yeah, I just need to do this. He's like,
because one day you'll always hear from me, you ask me anything, and you're going to get my answer. Awesome. How's it going? Awesome. Because I will never accept the fact that things aren't going awesome. I know in my head it's going to be done. I won't accept the fact that it will not be done, no matter how stressed I am. So, and he doesn't want to hear the truth anyway.
No.
He just wants to hear that everything's awesome.
Well,
you know?
but it's good that AC has your back when it comes to talking to business people.
Well, this is why my ex, Sonia, drives me insane because she comes up.
She's the one
It's never going to be done.
who-
It's never going to be done. You might as well just call him now and tell him it's not going to be done. And he's, don't
On
say that.
Thursday, when we get back, I'm directing a music video for Devo, and Cleve's making creatures for it, and he's in one of the creature suits. And the stuff's almost done, but it's not done.
Yeah.
And of course, we have Sonya, his wife, like, it's never gonna get done, it's never gonna get done. It's like, geez, don't tell me that.
Yeah, he can't handle that. I just want, please don't do this. You know, you're killing Roy.
All right, we're getting on your plane tonight then, apparently.
Do we have another question?
What's the craziest creature you've ever created and why?
The what?
Craziest, wacky.
Craziest creature.
Craziest? I think the craziest might actually be, no, the terrorism monster would probably be the craziest. I mean, Tony Randall's thing was crazy in that was like nothing, no design whatsoever, and we were just trying to pick each other's minds as to what we were seeing, because we had a feeling of horror that we wanted to convey that was not described as by a mechanical creature.
Yeah, we get a lot of times, the worst thing I want to hear is when a producer comes in and says, I want to have a creature that's never been seen before.
Yeah.
And usually my answer is that 99.9% of the time that we've never seen this creature before is because it sucks.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, it's,
Yeah, that's the reason why.
that's the hardest thing for us.
Okay, we got time for one more question.
Okay, Michelle?
Actually, I have a two-part question. The first question is, who are your influences? And then the second question is, how collaborative is the monster making process with the producer? Like, generally, what percentage of producers come in knowing exactly what they want the monster to look like, and then you push back and say, no, that's not really correct, or do you just say, okay, if you want a hand with the hand, we'll give it to you? And then what percentage of producers come in who have no clue what's going on?
Okay, well, the first part of your question, my influences, Jesse Bryah, who created Godzilla, Jack Cavon, who did the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Rick Baker, you know, American Werewolf and stuff. He's been actually a friend since the late 70s. Those are my main influences. And Ray Harryhausen. So I did start out as a stop-motion animator before I got into makeup. But that's also bringing a creature to life, just in a different style. As far as, what's the second half there? Producers.
It depends. Some actually are very some are very insistent and like they know exactly what they want and it cannot, you know, differ in any way from that design. Whereas some are just like, we want a werewolf type thing, and you know, let you go for it. So it really depends.
I'd say it's almost half and half.
Yeah.
It seems like more and more people now don't have an idea when they come in because they try to do so much in post.
Yeah.
It seems that people that want to do the practical stuff have at least some kind of idea when they walk in. But when you work with more of the old school directors at Cleveland, I've been working with like Tony Randall, who did Hellraiser 2, Sean Cunningham, who did Friday the 13th, Richard Elfman, who did The Forbidden Zone. They know what they want. Like those kind of directors walk in and know almost exactly what they want. It's kind of the newer people that don't.
Yeah, it's like, because I mean, I pride myself in that when I'm handed the design, I nail it. If it's a design that I feel is bad, I will try and convince them not to do it. That way, maybe, you know, do something a little different. But, you know, if push comes to shove and I can't convince them otherwise, then we do that creature.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what's very hard for us and for Cleve is it's commercial art. I mean, we're being hired to build their vision, and we try to steer them in the direction of what we want to do. But ultimately, I mean, we have to build.
Because we figure we have pretty good taste in monsters.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Okay, and with that, thank you guys. Well, you'll be down here to chat.